Jessica, the American Civil Liberties Union argued this case on behalf of an asylum seeker who was placed under expedited deportation. What more can you tell us about that case and how it made its way to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of picking up on your last segment, speaking of bad news coming ultimately effective. So what happened in this case is that there was a Sri Lankan farmer who came to the U.S. via Mexico, came here illegally and said, I'm seeking asylum. He was denied that asylum. And because of this expedited review, he was not allowed to challenge that denial in federal court. The ACLU sued and they said he is entitled to that constitutional protection of essentially seeking review called habeas corpus and due process, which essentially means you get your moment to challenge the decision that's just been made against you. And today the Supreme Court said, no, you don't. And the line that the Supreme Court really drew was between people who are in this country legally and people who are in this country illegally, even if they are seeking asylum.
So how has the ACLU responded to the Supreme Court's ruling?
Well, not well. So if you look at what the ACLU said, if you look at what was in the dissent is a vigorous dissent joined by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, joined by Justice Elena Kagan. And she said, this goes against our bedrock constitutional principles. This goes against the idea that if you are in this country, you get protection, you get individual rights protection. And it takes this power away from federal judges. So federal judges, Justice Sotomayor says in her dissent, federal judges are there to protect individual liberties. They're there to make sure that there isn't overreach, for instance, by an administration that wants to crack down on immigration.
But Jessica,
they're there to make sure that if it's their moment, whether it be... Yes,
sorry. Go on. No, I was just saying, but seven of the 9 justices agreed with this idea that expedited deportations could take place. So that's actually a bigger majority than we've seen in recent cases. So I'm wondering really why more liberal justices even decided that this was the case.
Yeah, so if you look beyond just the headline, on the big constitutional question, it was actually closer to the typical 5-4, the conservative liberal split that we've seen. So what did the majority say here? The majority essentially looked back at old cases, referring even back to the Chinese Exclusion Act, and said that we do treat people who are here legally different from people who are here illegally, particularly if we find these people close to when they entered the country and close to the border. So in this case, the plaintiff was found, I think, within about 30 yards of the border. And what they're saying is you get your moment to seek asylum, but then no more.
Thank you, Jessica Levinson.